Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/surviving infidelity, where a few Redditors answers the question, how badly did your ex's life get after they left you for their affair partner? The original thread was posted by Reddit user Music Zealous Ideal.
Our first story was posted by Reddit user JMLegend22. She had one dude get her pregnant, and then she told 3 other guys it was their baby until she found a sucker to marry her. Zero chance it was mine. I hadn't been with her in 2 years and hadn't saw her in person for 1.5 years. She moved in with her mom. Then some guy she told me that sexually assaulted her previously. Then some girl she supposedly liked. Then another guy. Then another guy. Then another guy. Then her parents. Grandma's. A different guy. Grandma's again. Parents. Then the sucker. She hasn't had a steady job since she quit the one we both had. I had already left it. My last day was the 1.5 years before. That was 2012 for the divorce. So over a decade of her struggling. And the kicker was in 2015 when I was playing some basketball with the guys. Got a message from her, threw the phone in my bag because my obligation to her ended in 2012. I'm a believer in a clean break. I had no need to talk to her. We played basketball from 4:30 to 8 p.m. Check my phone, and I now have 5 Facebook messages. The original asked if I could go to the jewelry store and transfer over ownership of her wedding and engagement ring. She told me her dad and boyfriend sold it for drugs 2 years before, as the court ordered her to return it to me per our divorce agreement. Message 2 called me every name in the book. Message 3 was upset I didn't reply. Message 4 was because she knew I seen the replies because I always used my phone. Message 5 calling me every name in the book. Message 6 comes in apologizing. My last reply to her ever: you lost the right to ask me to do anything when you cheated and wanted your divorce. You don't have any power over me, so whichever one of your personalities reads this needs to know I would never help you again. Ever. No need to reply. And that was that. Heard they moved out of state. Heard she was upset when she had to come back, and I didn't show up to her mom's funeral. Her mom disliked me a lot and encouraged her cheating. Our second story was posted by Reddit user Lord Kano. My ex-wife ran off with our friend's husband. He is a convicted roper and registered sex offender. We were together for 14 years but married less than 2. We were married so short an amount of time, the list of marital assets is short and the marital debts are high, so if she wanted to take any money, she would have had to accept the debts. I bought the house 10 years before we got married. The cars were in my name because I was the one who paid for them. She walked away with the clothes on her back. Her boyfriend is on the Megan's Law website, and that means she didn't get custody of the kids. She got none of my money, none of my vehicles, and because I have the kids, she pays child support to me. Her boyfriend spent over 30 years in prison for kidnapping, rope, robbery, and threatening the life of the president, so his career prospects aren't too great. He's in his mid-50s and working in construction. He's going to have to run a jackhammer until he's 72 to get any kind of pension. She works as a home healthcare aide and makes about $15 per hour. She has no retirement savings at 46 years of age. She doesn't own a car. Someone made sure all of their neighbors found out about the new guy who moved into their neighborhood, so they're pariahs in their new home. Her family doesn't approve of what she's doing, so she cannot turn to them for financial support. She can't bring her boyfriend to any family functions because none of her family wants the kidnapping roper to be around them or their children. All of our children are with me, so I get invited to her family's functions so they can see the kids. She betrayed a long time, 20 years plus, friend of hers, so all of her other friends know she can't be trusted around their husbands, and she can't go to them for support. She definitely cannot get any help from me. She has gone from living with her husband and her children in a 3-bedroom house that she nominally had an ownership stake in, with friendly neighbors on all sides, and being a respected wife and mother, to living in a rented 1-bedroom apartment with her sex offender boyfriend, not having spent a night with her children in years, being an outcast because their neighbors want nothing to do with them, and having lost the respect of most of her friends and all of her family. Our third story was posted by Reddit user DeathCamaro77. Some backstory first. My wife attempted to leave me for her AP, her ex-boyfriend in high school from over 30 years ago. Apparently, he was the one that got away. He was a typical bad boy then, and nothing had changed in all that time. He'd even put her in the hospital while they had been dating. Now, all these years later, he had been in prison for powder and assault and had been paroled recently. She'd been sneaking around on me with him via various social media for almost a year. Then she made an excuse to go back home to visit her mom and some old friends for a couple of weeks. I thought nothing of it as we had a great marriage. Or so it seemed. Same story you see on here time and time again. I got a strange feeling after she got there. Something in the way she talked to me was just off. Then she got to where she was barely communicating with me, and when she did, it was almost like she was annoyed to have to talk to either myself or our kids. I smelled a rat and asked a mutual friend in a nearby town to check her out. He got pics, everything. Them kissing, her coming out of his mom's house. Yes, he lived with his mama, half dressed in the morning, snaps of them making out. I got into her email and restored a bunch of messages she thought were deleted. I kept calling her, and she got to where she would never answer. Her mother, who maintains she had no idea, would tell me she was gone out with friends. None of this ever happened. She was always with him. I was like a zombie, but I had enough presence of mind to get lawyered up, got shit ready, and then finally texted all of the pics to her and her parents. She called me immediately, pissed, and of course tried to turn it all around to blame me. Then I busted out the emails. She just laughed and mocked me and us. It was just fucking brutal. It was like this person I had married never even existed. We had never existed. She told me she was moving down there. He was her soulmate, the man she should have been with, and she wanted a divorce ASAP. She agreed to everything I asked for, never even asked to speak with the kids. Like we had been erased from her brain. End result. As soon as the divorce papers arrived, the love of her life hauled ass out of there. Left her a sticky note telling her it had been fun to get to know her again, but that this was too intense. He vanished into thin air and has not been seen since. You can probably guess what happened then with her. Now it was all a mistake. She was wrong. She needed therapy. She even pulled the whole being molested as a kid tactic, which she later confessed was a lie. We could work through it, blah blah blah. I just couldn't. If she could throw away 25 years of marriage so casually, it was only a matter of time before she did it again. I realized I was her safe choice, and I won't be more than that. Now she does nothing but lay on her mom's couch all day watching TV, crying, begging. She doesn't have a job. She just lays there, rotting away. None of her friends supported her, it seems, or didn't want to be involved in her drama and deserted her. It's just a total shit show for her. The worst thing is that both my kids and myself just can't wrap our heads around what the hell happened with her. Who the fuck was she? Like the person I married and the woman they called their mother just disintegrated into dust and a stranger emerged from the ashes. It's been rough, but we are getting there. Sorry for the ramble. I guess I needed to get that out there for the 900th time. Our fourth story was posted by Reddit user HauntingNet2179. My ex had some very dark times. She was 34 when she left me for her homeless, unemployed, 50-year-old second cousin who had 4 DUIs on his record and smoked like a chimney. Oh, he also had no teeth. Then affair went down in 2008. We had a 20-acre horse farm. She was the trainer, taught lessons, etc. I worked for a large pharmaceutical company, married for 10 years and dated through high school and college. A 3-year-old and 5-year-old. I'm not a horse person, but enjoyed driving the tractor and mucking stalls. Sunday mornings was our time to talk, had great conversations. The cousin's father kicks him off his place, and since we had an empty double-wide on the property, my ex invited him to live in the double-wide in exchange for barn chores. A month later, she asks for a divorce out of the blue. It shocked everyone. She said she changed, and I just couldn't give her enough when it came to the horses. I was holding her back when it came to her horse training business. I suggest we have a good situation. She and the kids can stay in the main house. I stay in the double-wide, but the cousin will have to move out. She lost her shit at that point. A couple of weeks later, after her basically turning into Satan's spawn and blaming me for everything, I stay at my sister's for a night, and the next morning, I find them naked in bed. That afternoon, she files an ex parte PFA and gets me out of the house. Meanwhile, the cousin's father is about to sell her AP's 5 horses at auction because I never let him bring the horses to the farm since we didn't have the space. Once the PFA is filed, my ex brings the AP's horses to the farm. Within 2 weeks, the 7 boarders who generated about $10K in board and lesson revenue a month left because the farm was now way overcrowded. The PFA hearing is delayed 6 weeks and I have to get an apartment. I said, frick it, I'll stop paying the mortgage. Luckily, we were able to sell it before it foreclosed. This was 2009. The AP was always drunk and beat her and the kids. Of course, I always knew when it happened because she would always file an PFA against me or accuse me of abusing the kids. After the first PFA, I always wore a body cam when around her. So, PFAs were always dismissed, and CPS after the first accusation caught on to her quick. She has him arrested for beating her in 2014, but according to her, the responding officer lied, so no traction with family court. In 2018, he was beating her again. My now 15-year-old son smashed the headlights and windows on his car to distract him. He smacks my son around too. This time he's found guilty. No jail though, so my ex still keeps him around. This time, we have a new judge, and she takes the kids away from her. Only supervised visitation. COVID hits, and the AP has an aneurysm and is basically a vegetable. The hospital tells my ex that if she leaves, she can't come back. She ends up staying in his hospital room for 4 months until he croaks. Turns out, she had to beg her sister for money and for food at the hospital, and very nearly lost her house. 6 months later, she's dating a new guy who works for a pharmaceutical company. As my wife says, basically me. They are engaged. I no longer worry about the kids when they are at her house. Ex and I get along fine now. She flipped a switch to the better when her AP kicked the bucket. She hasn't apologized to me yet, but she thanked my current wife for being the mother that she couldn't be. My ex also saw our best man from our wedding for the first time in 18 years. She told him she was messed up for a long time. Today's final story was posted by Reddit user NoRoof1910. We were together 25 years, married over 16 years with 3 children under 10 when she cheated and we divorced. She was in love with him, going to marry him, and move into his house with our 3 kids. He lived almost 200 miles away in another state. Less than 2 months after our divorce, she moved off to be near him. Less than 3 months later, they were no longer a couple. Shit got real for her. She did everything based off of her emotions. She used no logic or reasoning. Look, I understand divorce. That isn't my point. My point is that she was so dumb. We were in our late 30s. She wasn't stupid yet. She was not able to see the situation she was in, that it wasn't going to work out for her. I knew it and told her. Her older brother and older sister both told her too, as did her friends. So less than 3 months after she moved to his city, they were no longer together. He did not want to marry her, or to have her and our 3 children, who were all under 10 years old, move in with him. She found out she was just a piece of ass to him. But my ex was always greedy, selfish, and materialistic, and she was good at getting what she wanted, though not with that man. Also, that man didn't earn a lot of money. That's okay. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I only bring that up because to my ex-wife, that was important to her. So she was never going to be happy with him. She met and married a man who was 50 when she was 40, and she spent, and he finally had enough and divorced her. She's on hubby 3 now, and he's rich and they're both empty nesters, so if she doesn't make too many stupid mistakes, she'll be okay with him. About her being greedy and materialistic, when her second husband's mother died, he was left a good chunk of change, a really nice amount. My ex-wife, who as his wife then knew just how to spend it, of course. She had to work on him for quite a while to make it happen, but she did. They moved into a fancy house in a fancy subdivision. The house was almost $500K. It had over 5,000 square feet, and it had 21-foot ceilings in the living room and the family room. There were 2 staircases leading upstairs, one in the living room and one in the family room. The subdivision was gated, with a guard in the guard shack and with video cameras filming all cars coming in and out of the subdivision. They were on the golf course. They had a pond with a footbridge and a waterfall in their backyard. She bought a brand new Chevy Suburban. She got a personal trainer and hired a maid to clean their house. In time, hubby 2 had it and he divorced her. She landed on her feet though with hubby 3. With me, she bought things like a timeshare condo. She got liposuction when she didn't need it. She didn't. She was under 5'3" and she weighed between 115 and 125 pounds. She ran track and cross country in high school. She ran a marathon in her mid-30s in our city. So no, she didn't need lipo. Not long after her lipo surgery, she got breast implants. She bought 2 different pieces of land because the brand new home we bought wasn't nice enough for her to live in long term, so she bought those other properties so we could build on it if we lived there long term. To her, she hit a speed bump when the guy she cheated on me with dumped her because she rebounded with 2 other men who were able to take care of her. Again, had her lover she cheated on me with not dumped her, she would have left him because he didn't make a lot of money.
Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.